Welcome, gamers. I'm the GM Goblin at Goblin Plays, and we're going to talk about add-ons. One of the things that I love and used to do a lot of in older games, like WoW, old MMOs, EverQuest. We had add-ons to customize everything, and there were things that we used to cheat with too, but most of it was for boxing, so I don't really count that, at least for me. Well, you can't see what I can see, so let's make it. There we go. So as you can see up here, I have some add-ons. And I have some other ones that are hidden right now, but we'll talk about those in a second. One of the first things we'll talk about is Blish. Blish HUD is really easy to download. You're going to be able to start it with your game. It will be running in the background. It will pop up. It is fantastic. Little setup. You have your achievement tracker and everything here, and it has pop-ups. Open up achievement panels, close all subpages. You know, it's an excellent add-on that they've used a lot. I'm not going to open that one because that's going to have my IP in it. But there's a few add-ons that are out of date and a couple of them that I've transferred over to Nexus, which I'll cover in a second. But there are some real good ones that I recommend whenever you're looking at Blish. Achievement tracker. Here. I don't use that as much right now, but it is there, and I just left it on. Your builds manager is something that you can deal with, and as you see, Blish adds you extra buttons up here at the top. So there's your achievement panel again, and then your builds manager. Builds manager is going to allow you to save builds. This, all you're really doing is taking the code that you have from your build, which you can normally copy by right-click, copy build template. And that's all this is doing. It's really the same thing. The only difference is the mod that you're having here, instead of us saving it into a WordPad or something for that code, is going to allow us to visibly see the template. And of course, you can change it as well. All you're doing is changing a couple little markers on it in the code, so it's not really going to be that big of a difference. You can see the code changes slightly right there. So, but it's really good to keep track of all the extra builds that you want, depending, unless you're like me and you'll get the one or two that you really like and you'll wait and you'll throw them out later. I like to stick to things sometimes, and when I switch, I jump characters, but regardless. Commander markers is going to allow you to put down markers or whenever you're leading a event or something like that. First time I ever saw this, I was confused because there was markers that were put on the ground whenever they were running an event. And so, but it's going to allow your squad leader to place these markers down and organize people. My last big MMO that I really played was TNL, and they had several things like this. So we would put a lot of markers down whenever we were doing raids, whenever we were doing big bosses or PvP, ganking people. Emotes, they have a few different kinds of these. It is just going to be tied to a key, and it lets me put them all in one location, mostly because I forget to type them, and this is going to be easier. And mostly because I use a razor, Chroma, I think it's called. And so I actually do not touch my keyboard unless I'm typing. And so being able to just hit a button that I've programmed on it with macros and everything to be able to pull up my emotes, because I have a button that hits Control-Z, makes it so much easier for me. I have played with the same kind of Nostromo Chroma thing for probably 15 years now or more. Event table. I know a lot of us will, when I first got in, learned about how big the wiki was in this game, which is pretty amazing. But the event table that they have here is customizable. And so you can change your colors and how it's laid out and everything. You can also change which events pop up. And then, of course, you're going to have your timers that come up whenever events are close. And so I use this a lot. and then I'll add things depending on what I'm trying to get done. Item search, I've used a little bit. Where is it? There it is. Just to see if I have something in any of my other banks. In my banks, bags, characters. That way you can search all of your characters and you don't have to go to a browser, because really most of this stuff, it's all keyed to your API. And so you're going to be able to set this up on websites. I've seen it. And then when I found out you could use Blish or add-ons, instantly went to this, made it so much easier. Mounts and more. Love it. You're setting up hotkeys for all your mounts, as well as you're putting the same hotkeys here. What it does is you can program it. For me, since I use sky scale the most, the first time I hit my button, it gives me my sky scale. When I hold my button, it brings up this radial. And I can pick or any of my mounts, whatever. And it just makes it so much easier. Now I do have another hotkey for something like my my cat, because I use it whenever I'm in combat, because he'll pop up. And so Warclaw is tied to another set of buttons. Pathing. Pathing is another thing that I recommend, especially if you want to do any kind of events, or not events, but if you want to do any kind of chest runs or anything, whenever you set it up, you can download different packs. I use Lady Alyssa's, really, but you can toggle off and on gathering. And so you can follow this path. They've got the same thing set up for like HPs as well. And so you go to a zone, even if you're not real familiar with it, and it can lead you through all of the HPs throughout the zone. I use it whenever I'm doing HP runs for either my son or just myself or some guildies or randos. Player marker, I don't really use anymore. It is going to add a big marker. I was having trouble when I first got in keeping track of my character when I was in large Zergs. And so I would use that. I turned off a lot of other effects for things, so it doesn't bother me as much anymore. So I don't really use that. Also, name tags. I took off name tags. And then a lot of times and I know people don't like it, I will actually use the action camera for some of my characters. So it makes it easy too. To-do is nothing but just a standard to-do list, doing things. Those are just examples. And then you can keep it here. It's just a way to keep everything in your screen so you're not having to go to another tab or another screen. And then quality of life, I haven't used a whole lot. My next set of mods that I added was from Nexus. As you can see, they appear and disappear. Control H, I think is what it was set down to originally. I forgot that I summoned that. But it has a few extra things. Now, we've got our DPS that a lot of us use. But there's a couple other things that I have used. Your cast clarity bar, that is going to make it a little more visible, gives it an outline. And then that's down there, which I guess really I don't need it. But combat cursor is whenever I'm in combat, my cursor gets larger and goes white. As you can see, my cursor got very obvious, because there was another thing that I had a tendency to lose whenever I was playing. So when I do have my cursor out and I'm not in action mode, I have this out. Makes it really easy whenever I'm playing my Scourge to be able to pop it on and off. So but that is that one. Region Deteria just gives you a pop-up with new regions. I did put, where is it? The compass. I found this compass to be better than the ones that I played with on Glish. You can set it up to where you have an indicator on your character. That just annoys me. I've just got it set up to the top. it's southeast. I've got degrees if I need to. That way I can always remember something, and then if I get busy, I can go back to that same degree or heading. So that pretty easy. Squad ready, that's with our DPS. Now re-effect. Re-effect is something that's a little different. So re-effect is where I've got these packs downloaded. And this pack, specifically, in tempo. So tempo is where, when I swing with my weapon, it is going to give me this kind of diamond. I really need to make it more visible, but I had. But it's going to allow me to see where I am with my auto attack, because I have a tendency to crash through the next button without waiting for that third auto attack to come through. And so I have that one. And then these other bars are going to be my abilities, so my weapons, my F skills, and then my special skills along with buffs that you can see when they come up. And then I've got my HP bar and stamina. And I do that because I was really used to, for a long time, playing BDO, Black Desert Online. And it is a fast-paced action game, lots of PvP. So I would always have my skills around my character so that I could see whenever they popped up to be able to use a grab or something. And so I started doing it here because I noticed, once again, a bad habit formed when I started playing this game and trying it out again a couple months ago. I would stare at this too much. So I'd look down and I'd check my HP and I'd check my abilities and what was coming up next. And I was still learning abilities and rotations and stuff. And so it was a really bad habit, and this helped break me of it. It's a little jumbled, but it's just an interesting ability, or an interesting add-on that I found, because I was not happy with how restrictive the UI was. But those are the ones I use. I use Nexus. And then, like so many of you, I use Blish. Oh, and on this Refect one, you can, it's super annoying, but you can go in here and change when you're not in combat, when you're in combat, and there's lots of exceptions that you can do to all this stuff. And so it took me a little while to set it up, but afterwards it came out pretty good, and I was real happy with it. And then, of course, I also use my Reshade, which is, this is my current update, and I added some stuff, so I have no idea why those are having issues. But the rest of them are fine. I did a video already on these. A lot of you made comments. One of the guys recommended to try out a different HDR plugin. And I didn't see originally what he had, but the Magic HDR is what I started to mess with. It has a lot more options and gave me a lot better feel with the game. Either way, hope to see you around Tyria, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember, like, subscribe. See you later. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the world of Tyria. Remember to come back and join us at Goblin Plays.